In this video, we're going to talk about using Microsoft Excel to work with spreadsheets. Most of your reports, all of your reports in Evergreen will come out to you in the form of a spreadsheet. If you have Microsoft Excel, you will see the report the spreadsheet looking like this. First of all information in a spreadsheet is in a cell. In a cell, you can either have text, usually aligned to the left, numbers, usually aligned to the right, or you can have formulas. Cells are arranged in columns, or they're arranged in rows. Okay. You can select cells. First of all, to select a single cell, just click in it. To select a range of cells, click in the first one in the middle, not on the edge, and drag your mouse until you've selected them. That's a range. Okay. You can select an entire column by clicking on the ABCD, the column headers at the top. I want all of the locations. So I click on that, and I've selected the entire column from top to bottom. I can select an entire row by clicking on the number to the left. That's called the row header. Just like I can select multiple cells by dragging, I can click on multiple column headers to drag my mouse across. Now I have 3 columns selected. Same thing with the rows. Now I have multiple rows selected. If I scroll through the spreadsheet, I'll lose the labels at the top of this cell, at the top of the sheet. I typically want to keep those labels. So I can do what's called a freeze pane. And what I can do in Excel is go to View, Freeze Panes on this ribbon, and I can freeze the top row, freeze the first column, or freeze the panes where I was. In our case, I just want to freeze the top row. And usually, I like to take those labels and dress them up a little bit. So I selected them. I just drag my mouse across, okay, and I then go and I change. I'll go to the Home ribbon, and I want to change the look. And I have frozen the panes, and I've changed them to look so that I see my column labels all across the top. These columns clearly aren't wide enough, this for the title and this for the author, and I can change the width of a column. There's several ways to do that. One way, the easiest way, is to take my mouse, move it slowly to the right of the column that I want to change, and when I get to the line between that and the next column, I can press and hold, drag the mouse, and make it bigger or smaller. Okay. Another way is to take the mouse, drag between, and now if I double click, it will make this column wide enough to fit the widest cell in this column. There's probably 10,000 items in here, and so if I double click, boom, it made it just wide enough to fit the widest cell. So obviously one of these rows has got a bunch of authors listed. I don't need it that wide, so I'll just come up and make it a little smaller. You obviously can do the same thing for rows. Go to the bottom of the row, make it wider, deeper, or less deep. Okay. Now, usually your report's going to have more information on it than you need. In this case, I don't need to see the status, so I can come up and click on that column header, and if I right click, one of my choices is hide. Now I no longer have a column C showing. It's still there, it's just hidden. Notice I have column B. I have 2 little lines separating it from column D. To make it come back, all I need to do is select both columns, right click, unhide, and I've got them. Okay, that makes sense? I hope everybody's got that. So with these just fundamentals, the background. Let's do the fun stuff. For starters, we'll make this a little wider. Our author's probably wide enough. Let's sort this spreadsheet by author. And the way we do that is we go to Data, Sort, and in Excel, sort by. Here are all of the labels, and I want author, and I will say OK. And all of a sudden, it's now all 10,000 columns, rows are sorted by author. I can go a step further, sort by author. I'm going to add a level. Once we've sorted by author, let's sort by title. And now all of a sudden, sort anything that looks like a number is a number. Yep. And now, inside the author, let's see if we can find a couple. There's Ansel Adams, and here are the titles in alphabetical order. And Addison's works, they're the same. Okay, so sorting is very straightforward. You're going to be doing that a lot. Okay, finally, the real fun in a spreadsheet is to get summaries. For instance, here we have the locations: children, stacks, art books, biography, etc., young adult. How many of these locations does this library use? That's one question we could ask. Secondly, how many items are in each of those locations? And whenever we want to get summaries like this, counts, totals, that sort of thing, we do what's called a pivot table. And in Excel, the way you do that is you insert from the menu on top, insert a pivot table, and it shows me the entire sheet from A1, right up here, all the way through O 13,343. That's a row. So obviously there are 13,343 items in this library. I select that range, and let's put them on a new worksheet. We've only got one worksheet at the moment. I have a new worksheet, and on the right, here are all the rows, headers, labels that we've got, and I am looking for location. On the bottom, I have rows, I have values, and I have columns. Basically, I want to know how many rows there are for each row, and now I have a list in alphabetical order of all of the rows, starting with row 4, going through 29, so I have 25 rows. Now, how many items do I have in each of those rows? So I'll take location and I'll put it down in values. Now I've got 296 art books, I've got 265 DVDs, 13,342 items in each of these. I can simply drag those off. Let's think about something else that's interesting. How about the audience? Children's books, adult books, etc. So I want those in rows. A blank, A, B, C, D, E is looking in the mark record. And how many of each do I have? Boop. Now I have 10,483 with nothing in them, etc. Okay, so that's how we do pivot tables. Very simple. The key to pivot tables is just to understand what you want your table to look like. Now let's look at locations. And I want to see for each location how many of a given type or audience are there. So I want to see those across the top. I'll put that in the columns. And I'll find the locations again. And how many locations? Now they're spread across. I have 288 art books that are labeled A. I have 2 that are labeled F, etc. Here's biography, 899 here, 26F, etc. Grand total of 13,342. This many are A, B, C, etc. And I can just do this all day long, getting summaries. And those are pivot tables. That's how you get summaries. Thank you. That's just a very brief introduction to working with spreadsheets, and this is most of what you need to know in order to manipulate the reports that come out of Evergreen. Thank you.